morning, everyone. So, I would like to welcome you in our English Maritime course. So, today is our week 68, day 2, and it was requested by the Gumyang Shipping Seafarers. So, again, this is your instructor, Elaine, for today's discussion.
So for today, I'll be discussing a new topic. Um, it's all about the common maritime phrases and acronyms. So here, in the maritime world, it relies on precise and clear communication. So due to the unique environment and critical nature of seafaring, a specialized vocabulary has developed over centuries. So, so, so for today, this presentation will uh, tell you, or you're going to learn about some most of the common phrases and acronyms used in the maritime industry. So, from everyday shipboard life to international regulations. So first we have here the common maritime phrases. So first we have is what we call all hands on deck. So meaning this is an urgent call for every member of the crew to come to the deck to assist with a task. So it usually an emergency or a critical maneuver. So here, all hands on deck. So it just signifies the need for everyone's participation and effort to address a critical situations. So historically, when a ship faced a crisis, so so every available person was needed. So now it also used for colloquially or non-marine context to mean everyone must help. So during the emergencies, so the primary use of all hands on deck is in urgent situations where the ships or its crew are in danger. So it's just a call for all crew members. So regardless of their usual duties, it is very important to participate in the effort to resolve the crisis. So batten down the hatches. So batten down the hatches. What this time? It is to the meaning is to secure the hatch covers of the ships, or especially in preparation to rough weather. So to prevent the water from entering the cargo holds. So it's just a preparation for a storm or a difficult situation by securing the ship's opening or the hatches. So with battens or the strips of the woods, the straps to prevent water from entering. So in a ship, the hatches are what we call the opening in the deck that allow access to the lower levels. So during the storms, this opening needs to be sealed. So to prevent water from flooding the interior of the vessel. So it's like if for example, the captain ordered the crew to batten down the hatches as the storm approached. So they just telling them to prepare for any difficult or dangerous situations. So here I know all of you know this. It's the ahoy. So it's just a salutation or a call to have hailed a ship, boat, or a person, similar to saying hello or hey. So it's just the traditional nautical greetings or call to attract attentions. So if you will, this term is also used to announce sightings like land ahoy. So this is the specific phrase is shouted when the land is sighted from a ship, so indicating that the land is visible in the distance. Next is shiver me timbers. So it is the exclamation of surprise or excitement or the shocks. So for the origin, it usually refers to the timbers. Timbers is the wooden frame of the ship. So it's shaking or vibrating due to the strong waves or common fire. So the exclamation. So while likely used in maritime settings before, the phrase spreadsheet used in popular culture, particularly due to Stevenson's Treasure Island. So next is the word avast. So here it says here that the meaning of the avast is to command to stop or cease whether one or whatever one is doing. So it also a command to someone to tell or a sailor to tell sailors to stop. So the avast is from the Dutch word like houd vast, meaning hold fast. So occasionally heard on traditional vessel, equivalent to stop or hold it. So next is the Mayday. So Mayday, this is the international distress used as a voice procedure word in radio communication. So it indicates a grave and imminent danger to the vessel or persons. So meaning it requires a immediate assistance. So the Mayday word is derived from the French m'aider, meaning help me. Okay, so when they usually you heard someone saying Mayday, 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 so it used strictly for life threatening emergencies at sea. It is repeated 3 times. Okay, so here is our next word. So we have port and starboard. So this one, it is a command in rowing or port refers to the left side of the vessel when facing forward. Then starboard refers to the right side of the vessel when it if it is facing forward. So sailing to row or sail forward on a collision avoidance, it means a vessel must alter course or speed to keep clear of another vessel. So here is the port side and the starboard side. So the starboard comes from steerboard. So it refers to the steering oar on the right side of the Asian ships, while the port came to be used because the steering oar on the right means the ship had to dock on the left side. So, in the universal term for ship orientation, always referring to the vessel's perspective, not the observers. So, this is the importance of using this term is crucial for clear communication and safety on the water. So, especially when navigating or docking or communicating with the other vessel. So our next word is what we call above board. So above board meaning something is open and honest. So it referring to the practice of keeping a one's hands visible on the ship's deck during card games to avoid cheating. So this is the phrase above board is originated on sailing ships. So so the board refers to the ship decks. So in acting above board mean keeping action visible on the deck. So above board. Next is by and large. So by and large, this time it is a ship that could sail well. So by and large could handle both close hold and off the wind sailing condition. So it refers to the ship's ability to sail. So if it's well, both when close hold, or meaning sailing as close as the wind as possible, and when the sailing with the wind from behind. So this phrase has since evolved to mean generally or on the whole in everyday language. So here we have here like the by. In sailing, by refers to the sailing like by the wind or closed hold. So it's typically within about 45 degrees. So meaning the ship is sailing as close to the wind as possible. So next is the large. So large is now referring to sailing with the wind coming from behind. So it allowing the ship use its large square sails. Okay. So in sailing with the wind on the quarter, meaning that the wind is coming from the side of the boat. So by and large. So the ship that handles well for both, meaning it's well-rounded vessel capable of handling various wind situations. So next is will be the cut and run. So what is a cut and run? So it means to leave a place quickly. So it's originating from the practice of cutting a ship's anchor rope to escape a dangerous situations. So typically in the past, cut and run could refer to a captain ordering the crew to quickly cut the anchor cable and sail away to evade an enemy ship. So this is can be often leaving a cargo behind to avoid delays or other problems. So if you're leaving the cargo behind, it means that the vessel may cut and run to maintain its schedule, even if all planned loading or unloading is not complete. So next that we have is fair winds and following seas. So here, this is the traditional nautical phrase as a wish for good luck and a safe journey. So it often uttered as a farewell or a toast to sailor. So traditionally, this is a nautical phrase used as a wish for good luck or a safe journey. So it signifies a favorable conditions for sailing. So when the wind pushing the vessel from behind and the waves assisting its progress. So this expression is often used as a farewell. It's like fair wind. So fair wind, it refers to the wind blowing in the desired direction. So it allowing the sailboat to travel efficiently and quickly. While the following sea, it refers to the waves that are coming from behind the vessels, pushing it forward, which also contributes to a smooth and faster voyager. It's like it means that the waves are coming from the behind and pushing it along and preventing it from having to constantly battle against the wave. So this phrase, the fair winds and following seas. So the phrase is commonly used in the various maritime contexts, such as during the commissioning ceremony, retirement or farewell events, and as a general expressions of goodwill for anyone um, going to or having their journey. Next is the word know the ropes. So this time, it means that you should understand the details of a task or situations. So it is referring to the sailor's knowledge of the many ropes on the ship, or to be toughly familiar with the working and procedure of a ship. So especially the rigging and how to manage the sails. So in the era of sailing ships, indicating the system of ropes were used to manage sails, masts, and other components. Mastering these ropes was essential for a sailor competence. So today, the phrase is used for more broadly to describe someone who is knowledgeable and skilled in any field. So, particularly after having or gaining a practical experience. So, it just signifies a deep understanding of the particular aspect of a job situations, including the procedures, techniques, and nuances involved. So next word. So next word is what we call loose cannon. So it's just the means and unpredictable or uncontrolled person. So it's just originating from a cannon that breaks or loose on a ship during the battle. So loose cannon. So this phrase is originated in the age of sail, right? So when warships carried cannons on open gun decks, so these cannons were secured with ropes or chains. But during the storms or battles, they could break free. So the uncontrolled cannon would then roll around the deck, smashing into other equipment, the hull, or crew members. So this could cause a significant damage or casualties, making the loose cannon a serious threat. So, in a figurative use, the loose cannons involved from this literal danger. So, it describes someone who is similarly unpredictable, potentially destructive, or much like a cannon carrying around the ship deck. So next word is that we have here is the pipe down. So meaning pipe down means to be quiet. So originally used to signal the end of a work shift on a ship. So it's just ordered to be quiet or stop talking. So it's originating from the boatswain's pipe or whistle used to signal the crew. So, so the boatswain pipe on a ship, the boatswain or the bosun use a pipe or whistle to communicate orders to the crew. So the piping down is the act of blowing the pipe to signal a specific order. It's called piping. So one of the signal was piping down the hammock, which means it was time to the crew to retire for the night or go to the rest of the night. So because of the command pipe down signaled the end of the day and the need for the quiet, it became associated with the general meaning of be quiet or stop talking. So next common phrases that we have is the show your true colors. So this one meaning that it means to reveal one's true nature or intentions. So it referring to the ship that would display their true national flag after initially deceiving the others. So it only displaying their true national flag when attacking or revealing their identity. So this act of deception, where a ship could sail under false colors, highlights the idiom's meaning of unveiling one's genuine nature or intentions. So today, the phrase is used to describe someone who or after initiating presenting a certain image. So it reveals their true nature, whether good or bad. So here in the nautical origin, so in the past, so ships would fly a flag or colors. So to indicate their nationality. So the pirates would often sail under false colors. So pretending to be a friendly ship from another nation to get close to their targets without raising suspicion or suspicious move. So next is the three sheets to the wind. So three sheets to the wind means to be drunk or intoxicated. So this is related to the rope's sheets that control the sails on the ships. So originally, sheets in sailing, sheets are ropes used to control an angle and tensions of a sail. So to the wind meaning, so when the sheet is to the wind, it means it's loose and the sail is flapping in the wind. So three sheets. If a ship has three sails and three of their sheets are loose, the ship will be tossed about by the wind, so making it difficult to control. So in sailing, sheets are ropes that control the angle and tensions of the sails. So it's just like in the erratic movement of the ship with blue sheets, it is similar to the behavior of the person who is drunk. So it leading to the phrase being used to describe drunkenness. So when the sheet is to the wind, it means loose or flapping in the wind. So it's just like a multiple loose sheets. So next is will be the taken aback. So meaning it's to surprise or startle. So originally from the sudden impact of a wind on a ship or sails. So sails aback. So when the sails is aback, it means that the wind is hitting on the wrong side. So it pushing it back against the mast. So the phrase taken aback become a common idiom to describe the feeling of a surprise and shock. So, mirroring the experience of a ship being taken aback. It's just like a sudden shift in a wind direction can cause sails to go aback, potentially causing the ship to lose way or even move backward. Next is it's here's dead in the water. So dead in the water. So meaning that sometime has no momentum or it is not going anywhere. So it's just referring to a ship that has stopped due to a lack of wind or engine trouble. So if the ship that is unable to move or make progress due to the lack of power or other means of propulsion. So this just a phrase has been widely adopted to describe anything that has stopped progressing or experiencing a lack of momentum. So now we are in our common maritime acronyms. So here first is the IMO. So IMO stands for the International Maritime Organization. So the role of this IMO is to specialized agency of the United Nations responsible for measuring to improve the safety and security of the international shipping and to prevent the marine pollution. So, the IMO's governing body is the Assembly, which meets every 2 years. So, the Council acts as the executive organ or overseeing the organization work. So, this IMO, the primary goal is to enhance the safety and the security. So, developing and maintaining a comprehensive body of international maritime law. It also promoting the adaptation and implementation of IMO conventions and regulations by member states. So, IMO, so International Maritime Organization. Another acronym that we have is the SOLAS. So SOLAS or SOLAS, it stands for the safety of life at sea. So SOLAS, safety of life. So the core objective of SOLAS is to minimize the risk of accidents and ensure the safety of everyone on board ships, including the crew and the passengers. So here, so in the IMO oversight, the International Maritime Organization is responsible for administering the SOLAS Convention and updating it as needed to address new technologies and safety challenges. So, SOLAS is considered as the most important international treaty concerning the safety of the merchant ship. So, the SOLAS provides a framework for the preventing the accident. So, by establishing the safety standards for constructions, equipments, and operations. So, the SOLAS aims to minimize the risk of accident at the sea. So, next is the MARPOL. So, MARPOL stands for the Marine Pollution. So, this is the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. So, the MARPOL's primary goal is to reduce and eliminate pollution of the sea from the ships. So, this includes both international discharges during normal operations and accidental charges like the oil spill. So, the MARPOL designated certain sea areas as a special areas where the stricted controls on pollutions are in effect due to the unique ecological or oceanographic condition. So it's just the primary goal is to prevent um the pollutions of the seas of the ships. So it's covering the issues like the oil, noxious liquid substances, harmful substance like package, like form sewage, the garbage, and air pollutions. So the convention is structured around several annexes, which dealing with a specific type of pollution, like the Annex 1. So the Annex 1, regulation to the prevention of pollution by oil. So next, we also have here Annex 2. So the Annex 2 is control of pollution by noxious liquid substances carried in bulk, while the Annex 3 is for the prevention of pollution by harmful substances carried by sea in pack form or the package form. Then Annex 4 is prevention of pollution by sewage from the ships. Annex 5. So this one is referring to the prevention of pollution by garbage from the ships. So the MARPOL applies to ships of all types, so including the oil tankers, cruise ships, cargo vessels, and even the yachts. So that are flagged to countries that have ratified the convention. So next is what we have, the STCW. So the STCW, standards of training, certification, and watch keeping. So this time, it is the international regulation that establish the minimum standards for the training, certification, and watchkeeping duties of the seafarers. So the primary goal of the STCW is to enhance the maritime safety and ensuring the seafarers have the necessary skills and knowledge to operate ships safely and efficiently. So this helps. So this is to help to minimize accident, protect the marine environment, and promote the responsible navigation. So during the training and certification, the STCW, they mandates a specific training and certification requirements for the different ranks and types of vessels. So it is to ensure that seafarers are qualified for their roles. So the watchkeeping, the STCW is also includes a provision for watchkeeping. So this time, it is ensuring that the seafarers are fit for duty and that there is adequate rest to maintain alertness and safety. So these standards ensure that seafarers worldwide possess the necessary knowledge, skills, and competence to perform their duties safely and effectively. So contributing to maritime safety and environmental protection. The ISM code. So the ISM code or the International Safety Management Code. So this is the mandatory international standard for the safe management and operation of ship and for pollution prevention. So the safety management system or the SMS. So this is the core of the ISM code. So is the which is instructed by system designed to ensure safe ship operation and pollution prevention. So the company responsibility are responsible for developing and implementing and maintaining this SMS or the safety management system. So the ISM code or the International Safety Management Code outline the safety management objectives. So including the safety of the life at sea, the prevention of human injury or loss of life, and the avoidance of damage in the environment. So the SMS must address the various functional requirements, such as providing the instructions and procedures for sale operation, establishing pro- procedures for handling emergencies, and implementing a system for reporting and investigating the incident. So next is what we have, the GMDSS, or the um, Global Maritime Distress and Safety System. So this is the internationally agreed upon set of safety procedures, types of equipment, and communication protocol used to increase the safety of commercial vessel and recreational boats. So automated distress alerting. So the GMDSS is automates the process of sending distress alerts, ensuring that the ship in distress can quickly notify relevant authorities and other vessels. So this is an internationally agreed upon system. So the benefits of this GMDSS is to improve safety. So first is of course the safety. So the GMDSS, it signifies the enhanced safety at sea by ensuring that distress calls are transmitted and received. So increase the survival chance. So by facilitating faster and more effective rescue operations, the GMDSS increased chances of survival for those in distress. So it also reduced the response time. So the automated nature of GMDSS minimize the delays in responding to distress situations. So, in the worldwide coverage, the GMDSS provides a comprehensive coverage for ships operating in all parts of the world. AIS. So next is how we have here the AIS. It is stands for Automatic Identification System. So this is the maritime tracking system that automatically exchange the data between the ships, vessel traffic services or the VTS, and shore station to identify and locate the vessels. So the identification of the AIS provides a unique identification number. So this is the Maritime Mobile Service Identity. So the AIS transmit the vessel's current location. It also enable tracking and monitoring of its movement. This is also um, used for data exchange. So exchanging the information with each other, include their intended destination, voyage details, and other pertinent data. And also the AIS helps ships to avoid collisions by providing the information about the location and movements of nearby vessels, complementing the systems. So how do we use this also, the AIS, for search and rescue? So the AIS assists in search and rescue operation by identifying the vessels in distress and tracking their movements. And also for the um, vessel traffic services, or as earlier said, the VTS. So VTS used the AIS data to manage and monitor about the traffic in the ports and waterways. So since they are exchanging some information, so they can monitor the traffic in the ports. So there are types of AIS. So we have class A and class B. So the class A, it requires for the large vessel. So it in the international voyages and passenger ships. While the class B is used for the smaller vessel. So such as the pleasure craft or the limited range of the functionality. We also have here the satellite AIS. So this use satellites to transmit the AIS signals, extending the range of the system beyond the horizons. And of course, we also have here the AIS base stations.
Okay. As I said earlier, we have the AIS base station. So this is a land-based station that receive and retransmit the AIS signals. We also have here the AIS aids to navigation, or the AIS ATON. This is used to provide information about the navigational aids such as buoys and the lighthouses. We also have a AIS search and rescue transmitter. So, or the AIS SART. So, this is used for emergencies to transmit distress signals and locate vessels in need of assistance. So, what are the benefits of this AIS? So first, of course, the safety. So it improved the safety at the sea. So the AIS reduces the risk of collisions and assists in search and rescue operations. Another one, it enhanced the situational awareness. So the AIS, it provides the real-time information about the location and movement of the other vessels. So it enables the better decision making by ship captains and the VTS operations or operators. Increase the efficiency. So the AIS can be used to optimize the traffic flow in ports and waterways, reducing the congestions and delays. So AIS also data can be used for various maritime applications such as the sanctions screening and maritime domain awareness. So data and research and analysis. So the AIS data can be used to study the marine traffic patterns, identify the fishing activities, and assess the impact of shipping on the environment. So, all of these are the benefits of the AIS. Okay? So we are now done for some common phrases in the maritime and some of the acronyms. So we will continue discussing some of these acronyms in our next meeting. So I hope you take note and you listen very well and remember some of our discussion today. Okay? So again, thank you, and this is your instructor, Elaine.